Welcome everyone to today's session on space, the unknown frontier. Today we are going to be talking about the possibilities of space and how we can interact and integrate it into the normal systems that we've been having around. It is all about the news that we saw a few days back where 750 schoolgirls came together and launched their own satellites. More than 75 satellites were put together by 750 schoolgirls from all over the country. It is this session that will highlight more on cooperation, on civil applications, general applications, and how space is changing our world today. A brief introduction of the Indian Chamber of International Business. Well, we are a chamber of commerce for small and medium companies. We have been around since a few years now. We focus more on people to people relationships. We present in 42 countries and 12 states of India. We look forward to having today's highlights and talk about how space is changing our world today. With this, I would like to invite uh, Mr. Govind Yadav from the Vyomika Space Academy, who's going to talk about space education for youth with practical applications. Govind Yadav ji is the founder and CEO of India's first space school, the Vyomika Space Academy. His life mission is to build the next space age for the planet Earth by providing space education and research opportunities to everyone. So far, he has established three national level space lab facilities to serve more than 10,000 space enthusiasts every single year. He truly believes that youth of this great nation has a true potential of making India a global space superpower. With this, I would like to invite you, Govindji, to take the session forward today.
Thank you, Mr. Manjeet. I hope my voice is clear to you all.
Yes, sir, very much audible.
Great. And can you see the presentation slide that I have just shared?
Yes, sir.
Wonderful. Thank you very much. So, yes, first of all, I'm really happy that some association is taking an effort to popularize the concept of space, and they are understanding that how space is widely, giving so much opportunities in front of the youth of India and abroad, of course. So my greetings and namaste to the respected speakers, especially Sudhir sir, who is about to join. And ISRO is the inspiration for all the private companies who are working in India. So that is one thing. So my name is Govind Yadav. I'm the founder and CEO of Yumika Space Academy, which is India's first space school. From past 8 years, I'm serving as a global space educator to empower and aware the youth of India and abroad about the wonders of space science and technology. We run multiple experiential learning platforms and programs, so where we start from right from grade 1 and we go up to PhD students. From a small village school to the biggest institute of India, I tried to share the scope of making a career in global space industry with every curious mind. Few decades back, so here are some glimpses of the sessions that I have taken, and where I tried to convey my thoughts and ideas about space education and how the young India especially can craft their career into space. And so coming back to the topic, why it is important for India as a country to reunite on this particular thought process about considering space as the next frontier. So a few decades back, only three things were famous about this country. The number one, the cricket madness that we have. The second is the love for the Bollywood that we have. And third, for the West nations, and on a broader scale, you can consider hunger and poverty. So these three things were known for the world whenever they talk about India. But now the scenario has changed. What the scenario is currently, India is the first country to detect water on the moon with their visionary mission Chandrayaan-1 back in 2008. After that, in 2017, we created a world record when we sent around 104 satellites in space, and the entire world witnessed that how great India became in terms of space launching capabilities. Number three, Mangalian Mission. Who can forget about this? We have a Bollywood movie on this now. So Mangalian Mission was important because first it was a mission where we attempted first time to orbit around Mars, and we did it in a very cheap and cost-effective manner. Now, All this is possible because of one single government entity, which is Indian Space Research Organization. And ISRO, I'm glad to share that recently we signed an agreement with ISRO to popularize the concept of space education on national scale. Now we are the official partners with the ISRO under their space tutor program, where we are facilitating schools, universities, and all those young minds by establishing this type of lab facility where I'm sitting right now. And by providing multiple opportunities and space camps and various quiz programs where the students can get involved and they can enhance their creativity standard in terms of space science and technology. So India is under a space revolution, and we all know that with the type of missions that we have now around us. Every time we hear the news that India is doing this in space, and the current government is really visionary in terms of getting right things into the space industry of this country. So here are two challenges that we have because of all this change and revolution that we are bringing. I want your kind attention to these reforms that we are having, which can highly affect the type of industry we are shaping for space. Number one, the type of reform which is happening in the industry. So ISRO being the parent body for anything related to space in India, recently they came up with these three things. In 2019, they established Indian National Space Promotion and Authorization Center, in short called InSpace, which allows the private players who are into rocket manufacturing or satellite manufacturing or any other type of space grade component manufacturing, under this particular banner, they are now allowed to use ISRO research facilities, and they are promoting the privatization of space in India through InSpace. That is wonderful opportunity provided by ISRO. Because of that, companies like us exist today. Second, into 2021, they established Indian Space Association, under which they collaborated with Airtel and other big telecom companies to establish the next generation information technology age for the country. And third, they established the New Space India Limited, which is a public service unit. Recently, you all saw a rocket launch, SSLV rocket launch. That particular rocket is under the supervision of New Space India Limited only. Now, why I'm discussing all this? Because I'm telling you that now ISRO is not the only body. ISRO is facilitating other startup as well. And there are a lot of private companies which is opening a massive job opportunities in terms of aerospace sector in India, or a space sector of India. So if you are a youth and you want to join space industry of India, and unfortunately you don't have a shot to join ISRO, there are other opportunities coming from the privatization of space in India. But and you can, and here is a a very great information for you. This is an article from 2014, the year when we launched a mission to Mars. Only 2% of ISRO's engineers are from IITs and NITs. This is from the Times of India. Now you can imagine how unaware our youth of India is about the opportunities that we have from all this privatization of space which is coming in. So Vyomika Space Academies have taken the responsibility to visit these universities, talk to the youth, counsel them, educate them, so that they can find a great career in space. And we can imagine when 98% of the brain of the top institute are not working for ISRO, and then ISRO is reaching Moon and Mars. You can imagine what will happen when at least 50% of strength from IIT and NIT will go to ISRO and work for them or for the space industry. You can imagine the future of space Indian space program then. Talking about the second type of educational reform that we have is through National Education Policy 2020. Now, this particular bill is very impactful because it is talking about the alteration of the entire education system of the country, starting from schools, colleges, and other type of institute that we run under the Indian education system. And we are talking about more than 2 million institutes where we want to implement NEP. And the most important part here is that the current NEP want subjects like space, drones, artificial intelligence, gamification to be introduced in the mainstream curriculum. And currently seeing the type of infrastructure, or there are a lot of things that the school of India lacks, on a general term I'm asking, considering government, semi-government schools as well. So they don't have that required infrastructure to train and teach their students on space, drones, and those new emerging technologies. And also lack of skilled educators is there, where a regular science teacher, math teacher cannot teach how to make a drone, how to make a rocket. And similarly, approved lesson plans are missing from right from the NCERT or CBSE. So all these things will be a very important challenge in front of the proper implementation of NEP. And Vyomika Space Academy is taking an edge to solve this problem by providing an ecosystem. Here you can see that what exactly we are doing. So with Vyomika Space Academy, we are a true believer that a 1 day or a 2 day workshop or an event cannot craft the mind of a child or mind of a student, right? So be it in school or in university, a 2 day, 3 day camp or a workshop cannot do anything on a greater extent. So that's why what we did is we started collaborating with schools, universities, and we started planting our space labs for these institutes who are visionary enough to understand that how the growth of space industry will be, will be taken in the future by the youth of the country. So here is a glimpse of a small lab that we have settled in the Mumbai city, and similar to that, we are opening centers in other part of India as well. Recently, we signed a contract in Punjab to establish 4 centers for the state. So this is the type of work we are doing, and through that we are running courses on how to make drones, satellites, rockets, telescopes, and the space legacy about the ISRO is very important to be told to the youth of the country, so that they can understand that what type of resources we have in this country if they want to join space industry. Now, in these labs, we are running annual curriculums. Every year we provide 36 sessions to a particular class and a particular standard on various subjects of space science and technology. Here are some glimpses of the courses that we run in our lab. So Mars colonization is something which humanity is seeing the next frontier, especially from the efforts of Elon Musk. You can understand how humanity is looking forward for a settlement on Mars. So Being Martian is a course which highlight this particular technology and scientific edge of colonizing Mars. Similar to that, there is nobody who hear the word alien and they don't get excited about it, right? So extraterrestrial life is always the part of our inner fascination. Either we are a kid or a grown-up person. So we have a course on that. Similar to that, Albert Einstein, achieved a lot of things. The synonym for genius is Albert Einstein. So we have brought courses on him as well. And then, for all the astronomy lovers, we have a course called Astromania courses. We developed multiple educational project kits. With that, we are offering, rocket master classes, telescope master classes, aircraft master classes, and cube satellite master classes. So this is what exactly we are doing. And because now we are talking about Web 3.0, so virtual reality space education is really important. So we are introducing virtual reality space education as well. And recently ISRO inaugurated a VR-based theme park, which is a great achievement. I informed hundreds of people, hundreds of students that they can go and witness that particular virtual lab. So this is the very wonderful example that how VR can be used for space education. So Vyomika Space Academy is also utilizing VR and AR technology to upgrade our laboratories and our educational curriculum. And in the next 1 year of span, like I'm talking about till the next year, September month, we have planned to establish around 60 Vyomika space labs. And with this, we want to cater a lot of young minds of the country. So this is it about Vyomika Space Academy, what we are doing. And I can see Sudhir sir is here. So I just want to greet Sudhir sir for the wonderful opportunity that he have provided us by making, a national scale space tutor. So thank you very much, sir. So this is what I had from my side. Thank you, Manjeet ji, for inviting me. Let's together build the next space age of planet Earth.
Pleasure to have you with us and to highlight about what the students are doing and how you're changing the world of space for students and how it is going on. So thank you so much. So can you stop the slide share, please?
Sure.
Thank you so much. Moving on, I would like to invite our special guest today and guest of honor, Shri N. Sudhir Kumarji from Indian Space Research Organization of ISRO. Presently, he's working as the head of Capacity Building Program Office at the ISRO headquarters and responsible for the industrialization, indigenization, technology transfer, IRP, technical infrastructure, and outreach activities of ISRO. So I welcome you today for the session and thank you so much for being with us. I am sure that a lot of people are waiting to hear from you. Welcome to this session of the Indian Chamber of International Business on space and space technologies. Welcome, sir.
Thank you, Manpreet. I'm extremely sorry because I got stuck. There is a big event going to happen from Monday. That is Bangalore Space Expo. Incidentally, that is before actually starting my talk, I would request each and every person either get connected to the Bangalore Space Expo and let's say virtually or physically. I'm seeking my deepest apologies for being late because I got stuck in the secretary's meeting. Anyhow, nevertheless, I just picked up so that at least I would be part of this debate or discussion or dissemination. Thank you, Manpreet, for inviting me. I do not know what to talk because there is much to talk, but to be confined myself to 10 minutes, the Indian space sector, whether it is be a business or be as Govind was mentioning about education or sharing the facilities or whatever you call it as research, the Indian space is now started booming up. And very important thing is, so far the ISRO has been leading the entire space sector in India as a national space agency. Now the doors are open, gates are opened. Earlier, even to use our logo, people start thinking, since it's a government logo, should we use it or not? Now that all over. When somebody started making the satellite, whether it comes under the regulation or whether it comes under the let us say control, people are afraid. Now that is not there. The education, now people are started realizing what many space applications. If you start early morning taking breath, it starts with good pollution, good yoga, good let us say what you call healthy exercise, up to till you go to bed. To put your alarm using your mobile. Everything is driven by not driven by the space technology, but influenced by the space technology. So the space technology, the awareness has to be created because that awareness creates demand on the different technologies. That demand creates some kind of business opportunities. That business opportunities ever growing. That creates, it is a cascading effect. Let us say downstream applications, when they generate the demand, it creates demand for the midstream and upstream industry. So the business is first is engaging ourselves. The second thing is engaging for a profit, for a research, for a knowledge, let us say upgradation. Anything engagement is essential. The space is one sector, I should say. You call it as when you are traveling on a road, definitely you require some guidance. Navigation guidance is there. Today, the people are thinking remotely the toll tax will be collected. It's again enabled by the space technology. And of course, IoT, it's a combination of different technologies. When you wanted to allocate a water source in a very deep, deep jungles or deep, let us say landscapes, you require a technology. When the conventional energy sources are getting exhausted, when you wanted to switch over to the renewable energy sources, with the help of space technology, you can find out which area The solar power is more practical. The wind energy is more practical. The, let us say, tidal energy is more practical. You require there the space technology. Using the space technology, you can make your life very easy. If you go to, let's say, agricultural sector, food security, if you wanted to pick up some horticulture product or something like that, where this is available, how to market it, how to, let us say, create a value chain, how to create a supply chain, transmission chain, it requires space technology. But you are operating your ATMs and banks and insurance sector, you require, with the help of space technology, you can do wonders. So there is no area left in the natural process without which, without space technology, you can do wonders. So that is the application of space. Right now, you are in hands, and each and every person, a citizen of India, or each and every technologist, or each and every educationist is responsible to propagate the application of space to different areas. So the innovation has to be made possible. The innovations, how to use, let us say, solar power is there. Now exact tools are available on your rooftop if you go. Whether really you will get required, let us say, sunrise, let us say, shine to enable your solar panels. When you start using solar panels, half of your energy consumption will go down and energy will be saved. So this is one only a teaser I am giving for the listener. It doesn't mean that all people doesn't know about all those things, but my urge is everywhere the space technology can be put into use so that the business can be generated, the collaborations will happen. That is a marine systems. Somebody is talking about the marine insurance, insurance of insurances is very, let us say, involved business, financially involved business, and millions of crores will go. If you exactly know the position of berthing of your ships and possibility of how long it will take to be in the waters, national waters or international waters, to get a berth, that decides the amount of, let us say, insurance. Using the space technology, if you can identify, let us say, available berths or available slots for the berthing the ships, you can save crores. You just imagine, because you cannot even imagine for these applications, space technology will be used. So if you start thinking, everywhere you will find an application using the space technology. So let us create this particular awareness through whatever the media, the space tutors which have been, as Govind was mentioning about, they are the ambassadors who are to go around and educate the people, educate the students. Why students? Means they will influence and they will dictate the terms to the parents. That is the order of the day. And when they get enlightened, obviously parents and elders have to fall in line with the children's expectations and the what you call, not only expectations and demands. When some pollution is happening, child will tell, why are you polluting? Then parent will correct himself. How actually the water logging will be there in cities, the growth of mosquitoes, the growth of cockroaches are mainly led by the water stagnation. The health now sector is being, let us say, is being, let us say, not driven, is being helped out by the space technologies using IoT techniques. We will find wherever the water stagnation is there, more than 1 meter pond, which can be identified by satellite data. You can identify how long this was there, because you have, let us say, 9-hour incremental data. You will find out how long this pond is available. And that is potential area for mosquito breeding. So such a kind of level you can use the space technologies. Now the awareness of the space technologies, I should say that's not matured. In India especially, I should say it's only less than 5% awareness. If you ask somebody how to use this one, then they will tell one person has to go and spray some kind of medicine to control it. But avoiding, not to get stagnated, what to do. Potential areas you have to study, artificial intelligence you have to apply. Where all this water stagnation is happening, if you give it one contract before the rainy season, they will fill up the areas, the problem is avoided. If the problem comes, resolving the problem requires again huge paraphernalia, huge cost. If you avoid the problem using any technology, and incidentally space is an area which will cover the entire thing, probably my message or my urge and my request to all the people, even 10 people, 20 people listen to this one, let the 20 people tell to another 200 people, those 200 people, let them tell to thousands of people. If this message goes, probably our next generations will get benefited. Even our own generations will get benefited. I hope this much awareness we should create. Use, as he was telling, there was some portals keep on coming onto the ISRO site. How actually we can use the applications. Please propagate this message to, by and large, to a major community so that they start reading the material. It's only inspiration. They start reading the materials, how to get to know how these technologies will be applied. Even some guys in the science area, if they want to do some research or some kind of study projects, let them do. There are platforms now we are bringing out from ISRO to submit their innovations, to submit their ideas to us for an evaluation. These are all new things we are starting. Please keep watching our website for any updates and contribute to society and economy of the country. Thank you. Jai Hind. Over to you, Manpreet.
Sudhir, thank you so much. Am I audible?
Yes, you are audible.
Am I audible? Yeah,
yes,
Sudhir,
yes.
Thank you so much. It is so much of information that you have fed us in 10 minutes. I mean, I couldn't have imagined, to be very honest. And so many practical applications, right from your mosquito breeding, which affects the cities, and right up to rural areas where it talks. Sure that with ISRO support and the industry coming together, it is going to be a great participation of public-private partnerships, and this is going to take us to the next level. And as you know that a lot of startups are involved, and with ISRO support, the things are changing very drastically. And you very much mentioned about how ISRO has also liberalized quite a bit, and it's a great achievement for all of us, in fact. And we are leaders to the world today. We are sharing expertise. We are coming together. We are on the discussion table. So thank you so much, Sudhirji, for being with us here today.
Thank you. Most welcome.
I would now like to welcome our next speaker, Mr. Joseph Abakunda. Joseph is currently the Chief Strategy Officer of the Rwanda Space Agency, where he observes the strategic direction of the agency and develops partnerships across industry, academia, and government. He is a space systems engineer, was project manager for RWA-SAT-1, Rwanda's first satellite, and coordinated the drafting of Rwanda's national space policy and strategy, and brings over 10 years experience across both the upstream and downstream of the space value chain and utilization of space applications. Welcome, Joseph. It's a pleasure to have you with us here today. Joseph, can you hear us? Mr. Joseph, from the Rwanda Space Agency, can you hear us? I think Mr. Joseph is on a call. Joseph, can you hear us? Okay, we'll come back to Mr. Joseph. And meanwhile, we'll go on to our next speaker, Mr. Hassan Abo Seda. He's head of the Frequency Coordination Department at the Egyptian Space Agency. He's an expert in frequency coordination and spectrum management for satellite. Certified in International Communications Regulation and Policy Application from American University Washington College of Law. Certified in Satellite Communication from ITSO. He's certified in International Telecommunications Union in developing remarkable projects that accelerate your digital innovation ecosystem and global competitiveness. He's also certified from from NASA in remote sensing application, from ISRO, of course, in remote sensing application. He's a trainer in management, strategic, and leadership in telecommunication fields like IoT, digital transformation, and AI. He's also certified by the UNOSA in disaster management. Welcome, Mr. Hassan. It's a pleasure to have you with us here today.
Welcome for all. I will access from mobile until the laptop is open again because the internet is disconnected. My sound is clear. Hello?
Yes, sir, your sound is clear.
Yes, okay. The topics that I will discuss today is the spectrum management. Anyone need to work in space need to know more about spectrum management. Spectrum management is managed by ITU, International Telecommunication Union, which will and I will share my screen. Just a minute. Sorry, can you give me access?
Yes, sir. Just a minute. We just authorize it.
I need to access about the laptop. Yeah, to share my screen. Okay. Are the screen available now? Hello?
Yes, sir, we can see the screen.
Okay. The topics that we will discuss today about the radio frequency spectrum. When we need to make space activity, we need to know more about the ITU regime and for space law. Maybe we will focus today about the ITU regime because this is related my job description more. As the spectrum is limited natural resources, so we need these resources to use it rationally and efficiently and economically. This and we want to make sure about equitable access for all countries to the orbits and the frequency use, so the developing country have the same priority with the developed country. ITU is the International Communication Union that is responsible for telecommunication activity. It have three sectors: telecommunication regulation, radio communication sector, and standardization for telecommunication, ITU/T, and ITU development, that is the development sector that is promote equitable and affordable access to telecommunication for all. For in ITU radio communication, there is the radio regulation is the law for telecommunication for who wants to work in space telecommunication activity. It is the international treaty governing the global use for radio frequency spectrum and satellite orbit. It consists for four volume. The volume one is the article that is discuss how to register your satellite network and how can you avoid interference, how to make assignment and allocation for different frequency. There is some in when you work with frequency, you need to know this terminology and differentiate between them. Allocation for the service and allotment for the area of the country and assignment for the station. So when we make assignment, this make other space station or ground station, but allotment this is for country, and the allocation for the service like mobile service, like fixed satellite service and like that. To make allocation, the ITU is divide the world to 3 regions. This region 1 and region 2. This is the region 1 and this is the region 2 and region 3. So can make allocation of the frequency, and as the spectrum is natural fixed resources, they can be make frequency reuse when we assign different frequency for different region. The master international frequency register is a database for ITU that it can register the assignment frequency in it. So when you need to work in satellite or space activity, you want to know more about the master international frequency registration. For the radio regulation is consisted for article. This is the sample of the article that has defined. Article 1 is the definition. Article 5, table of frequency allocation. So they describe the frequency used for different countries and for different services. Maybe Article 9 and Article 11, this is responsible for the procedure for registration the satellite network. Also, maybe Article 25 is for amateur satellite service. This is when the plan of regulatory procedure you submit API. This is Advanced Publication Introduction that has main or primary information that they needed to publish for the other operator for space activity to declare that I will launch a satellite has this information, and this sent to ITU, and after process of it publish it in API for A. This is take 4 months to other to comment for it. This may be I can comment this. I see this satellite can make harmful interference to my network, so please coordinate with me. The publishing for API will reply for the other comment, and when this comment is finished, they can submit notification. The notification is registered in master in IMFR, and this is the assignment that the license is available for the international recognition. The API is according to Article 9 in radio regulation, and this is a graph shown that the increasing number for non-geo satellite API published. We see that in the last 10 years there is a huge increase in number of non-geo satellites. This is some information published in API, like the satellite network, who is the administration of the country is responsible for this satellite, who is the operating agency, what is the orbiter characteristics, what is the antenna beam characteristics, frequency band, space surface area, power level, okay, and the associated earth station and like that. After API advanced publication information, you publish it and you reply for comment for it. You can make the notification. The notification is recorded in master register international recordation. This is needed before bringing into use. Bringing into use means that you can put your satellite in the orbit by the launcher. The process for regulation is take seven years, and if you fail to finish your satellite in this 7 years, the file you need to start it again. This is, I will summarize that. This is the filing. I make general description of the network of the satellite. Then I publish it, and this is frequency coordination. This is the 4 months that API is published to can anyone, any administration can comment that this satellite can make harmful interference to their network. After you finish this coordination and reply for comment and accept it, you can make the notification and then the bring into use. This is the current regulatory issue. Maybe like IT regulation, bringing into use. We have small satellite, non-geo constellation, satellite hopping, spectrum management. This is what I need to ask for, to describe for you. If you have any question, if the question is permitted. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hassan. Thank you so much. In fact, you have simplified this such a complicated topic into such an easy thing, so the common person can also understand what ITU is and what frequency notifications are. So thank you so much for highlighting on these topics. We'll open up to the audience in some time after all the speakers are done. So thank you so much for being with us here today. With this, I would like to invite our next speaker. And am I audible? Yeah. I'd like to invite Mr. Joseph. Joseph is currently the Chief Strategy Officer for the Rwanda Space Agency, where he oversees the strategic direction of the agency and develops partnerships across industry, academia, and government. He's a space systems engineer. He was the project manager for RWASat-1, Rwanda's first satellite, and coordinated the drafting of Rwanda's national space policy and strategy, and brings over 10 years experience across both the upstream and downstream of the space value chain and utilization of space applications. Welcome, Joseph. It's a pleasure to have you with us here today. Welcome, and the floor is yours.
Thank you so much, Manpreet. I hope you can all hear me. Apologies, I think I wasn't connected to my mic earlier. Perfect. Yeah, I think today I really just want to highlight a bit more about some of the possibilities of partnerships and the way that we currently envision collaborations within the space agency here in Rwanda. Being a country that is very young in the space sector, we do realize this is not something we can go at it alone. And so partnerships have been very critical. You did mention about Rwanda's first satellite, RWASat-1, which was 2018, 2019, right before the pandemic. It did the orbit 2.5 years later, which was April of this year. But very critical in that was we did not have the facilities in country at the time. So we had to develop these with in partnership with the University of Tokyo and using their laboratories to be able to build this, to design the AI, assembly integration and testing of them, of the CubeSat, both the engineering as well as the flight model. And it was very successful. Then there was the other side of developing expertise in analyzing the data that actually came down from the CubeSat itself, because it had a LoRa antenna, right? And also had a multispectral camera as well, which was analyzing certain agricultural farms within the southwestern part of our country. And there was a very significant capacity development drive to space technologies that we had to carry out, and about 30% of the 60 people that we trained in our first year ended up being our first hires. The others have gone on to to much higher degrees, and we're also trying to develop, again, this is where partnerships are key, to develop in-house a curriculum and an engineering program within the University of Rwanda, so that we can be able to scale the amount of people we can train per year. Now, away from capacity building, partnerships have also been very critical in disaster-related and emergency situations. Last year, in May, towards the end of May, early June, we did have a very a volcanic eruption in neighboring Democratic Republic of Congo, but it's so close to Rwanda that the earthquakes were still being felt in the capital city of Rwanda, and the space agency was tasked to understand what was going on beneath the surface of the earth, as far as these earthquakes, where the epicenter is coming from, etc. And we had to rely on INSAR, interferometric synthetic aperture radar, which we at the time did not have expertise for. And we had to tap into some of these different collaborations, even as far as NASA. And this particular office was the NASA Alaska office. Some partnerships like Digital Earth Africa or the European Space Agency to help us make sense of some of the INSAR data that we were getting and interpreting. And very soon we realized, even if the volcano was actually erupting next door in the Democratic Republic of Congo, 90% of the epicenters were actually on our side of the border. So the government would not only have to look at this as, we only taking refugees in a socially distanced manner because this is a pandemic and we want to minimize the spread of COVID-19, but they actually realized we now had to deploy, in situ sensors, or start taking imagery and developing. Colleagues earlier were talking about artificial intelligence. We now developed an app which could be used on the mobile phone to kind of augment the satellite imagery that was the base map and overlay some of these to inform, because initially, before this entire operation was going on, government was even thinking of a full-scale evacuation of about 2 million people, because the lava was still flowing, and there was, it had gone 16 of the 20 kilometers very close to a lake which was, full of methane. And we could, with this analysis, tell actually the lava is slowing down and that sort of analysis. So it was very helpful. So you do not only see international partnerships supporting in capacity development like we did with our first satellite, RASAT-1 with the Japanese, but you also see in real world emergency operations like this volcanic eruption. Very recently, the Artemis launch was obviously scrubbed, but Rwanda was the only African country that was invited to this launch. Our CEO actually just came back yesterday, but this is another area where, Rwanda is very much looking forward to work with other countries, like we were at the Artemis launch in Florida very, very recently. At the same time, you see, even if we're thinking of Artemis in a soft power kind of participation, there is norms that are going to be decided about when man is on the moon. How do you, what are the rules that are going to inform that? So we're very much also considering signing the Artemis Accords as well, because of that, again, in that line of international partnerships. And you also see this very much aligned with the outer space treaty, where we're signatory in general. So I see partnerships from a capacity building angle. We see partnerships from projects kind of real world scenario, whether it's co-developing or actually supporting an ongoing project like was the emergency scenario. But then also there's partnerships from a regulatory and kind of policy setting framework where space is kind of a place where it should be a common good. As a way forward, among the partnerships we have been working with, we haven't had much partnership with ISRO yet. It's very good to see. It's very good to see ISRO, you know, present in the forum today. But I must say the reputation of ISRO really precedes itself. So we would be very happy to kind of get have a conversation with the Indian Space Agency Research Organization and have a bit more discussion on how to participate with you going forward, or even the Indian private sector or academia. These are all conversations that, you know, we very much welcome and are looking forward, you know, to discussing in future. In the interest of time, I think I'll pause it there for now, but I'm happy to answer any questions going forward. Thank you so much to you all, and thanks, Manpreet.
Thanks, Joseph. You know how you highlighted your journey of the Rwanda Space Agency and how you collaborated with the European ones and how the capacity building happened and the development happened. And I'm sure we have ISRO here with us today. Mr. Sudhir will be more than happy to collaborate with the RSA. And there are a lot of possibilities. In fact, in India, the private sector has evolved quite a bit. And I think there is a lot of partnership possibilities, learnings, and of course, we are more reasonable than the Europeans. That being said, collaborations are always open, and it's a door that is just waiting to be opened. And India has always had natural partnerships with Africans and the African countries, with so many cultural exchanges happening, educational exchanges happening. And I think this is just the beginning when it comes to talking about space. So thank you so much, and it's a pleasure to have you with us. And please be around. There are some questions for you from the audience I see in the chat box.
Can I answer this one real quick before I?
Of course. Please go ahead. Please go ahead.
Okay, thank you so much. So, Mayur Mehta, thank you so much for asking. Yeah, we do have partnerships across the board. So it's not just government agencies. Manpreet does have my contact in case anyone is able to reach out. We always welcome a conversation. It's usually a different kind of channel. With government agencies, you're kind of looking at a different kind of partnership. But with private players who already have solutions, or even those that want to prove a concept. This is not in the space sector, but you might know the American company called Zipline. They're a drone company that deliver blood supplies and medical supplies via drones. They could not get a license from the FAA in the US, the Federal Aviation Administration, because they couldn't understand how this is going to work. And when they came to Rwanda, we worked with them to figure out, we don't understand the drone technology you're proposing. So let's create kind of a sandbox environment where you can actually try out these concepts. And once this is done, we will actually see if you're license ready, right? Or if you're not. And very soon, it was very easy to have this concept developed. And we gave them the license. They were first licensed here in Rwanda. They opened up to 2 or 3 other African countries. And now they went back and they got their license from the FAA in the US, and they're now already a unicorn company. So it is something that we're very happy to have a discussion with, depending on the needs. We do know our needs, and we're happy to discuss those with you as well and just explore. All right, thank you so much.
Thank you, Joseph. I'm actually surprised and happy that you mentioned Zipline, because Dan Sirwanka is a very good friend of mine since many years, since the startup days. You know, they have really achieved a lot, and they've seen it all, and you know the journey. In fact, anybody wants to contact them, please Google Zipline. I'll be happy to connect them with anybody who's interested. Thank you, Joseph. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you too. Bye.
And all the way from Africa, we now move on to Europe, and I would like to welcome welcome for today's session Ms. Jamila Mansuri from the European Space Agency. Jamila ji, after 10 years in the industry, contributing to the Ariane 5 development and exploitation in the Ariane group, the formerly is NECMA, and in Ariane Space, Jamila Mansuri joined ESA STS Directorate in 2009, evolving from propulsion system manager to launch system lead engineer. In 2017, Jamila ji joined the ESA Future Launch Preparation Program as Space Transportation System Manager, being in charge of heavy and micro launchers, concept studies, and exploring space logistics approach from end-to-end space transportation services. Since the 1st of March 2021, Jamila ji has been appointed ESA Head of Propulsion, Aerothermodynamics, and Flight Vehicle Engineering Division. Welcome, Ms. Jamila. It's a pleasure to have you here and to listen to what ESA has to say. Jamila, your audio is not available. It's static. Audio is static. Static is on. Audio is still missing. No, we can't hear you. Can you just change the microphone? Maybe that works sometimes. No, not audible. I request you on the bottom left where you can see the microphone, just select an alternative microphone and you can put it as same as system.
Can you tell me if you hear me?
Yes. Now we can hear you.
Every time I don't hear you, so I'm gonna check.
Can you hear me now?
I think you hear me.
Yes, we can hear you.
And then you hear me, and I could hear you.
Okay, I'm gonna use my. Okay, for the mic, I'm using my AirPod, and for the headset, it should be okay. Do you hear me? Do you hear me? Do you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Can you hear us?
Perfectly. So now it's okay.
Perfect. There's a little echo. Are you there on two systems by any chance?
I'm not sure the echo is coming from mine, but wait.
Do that. 1, 2. Now it's better. Do you hear me?
Yes, perfect. Welcome, Jamila ji, for today's session.
Thank you very much. So I apologize because I had an issue with my presentation. So I will do without presentation. I hope next time you will invite me, and this time I will have presentation to share, because it's always better with visuals to exchange on cooperation in particular. So thank you to all and in particular to you to have invited me and considering my participation to such an event. So I would like just to start with an important point on cooperation, and I'm totally joining the previous speakers that really we are in a period where there is a big, an important expansion of the space application. And this is true for institutional application, but also commercial space service that is in a continuous growth. And it's definitively a good opportunity for more and more cooperation, in particular when we have projects like the one to the moon and in the future to the Mars with the Gateway. where the cooperation 1+1 doesn't mean 2, but it means 3 or 4 or 5. That is to say, cooperation helps to go quicker and further, and also for the benefit of the humankind. So that's the reason why for us, and in particular myself, contributing in the Open Space Agency, it's something where I emphasize a lot on the activities. I'm in particular putting a lot of importance in advanced and competitive technology, so that to facilitate this development, it is applicable to transportation systems, in space and interplanetary solution, and large satellite system that deliver various services worldwide. So I try to answer to your question about cooperation via 4 areas. The first one is the challenge that we foresee for international cooperation, in particular in our teams, in ISA. Be sure that international cooperation is at the heart of what we have successfully done in ISA since almost 60 years. All our missions are based on cooperation between several member states within Europe, but also outside Europe, and all are based on a procurement entity, which is ESA, for what concerns the implementation. So in addition, we have concluded a lot of cooperative projects. And the way we have done this cooperative project can be different. Either ESA is providing instruments or subsystems to other partners. So think about ISS, the International Space Station. We benefit from a lot from it, thanks to the Columbus module, but also the partnership by delivering the instrument. It's true also for Artemis, where ESA has delivered the ESM, so it's the propulsion system for the upper stage, for the module on the top, and the ongoing Mars mission, like Mars Sample Return, where ESA is also contributing with instruments. We do not forget as well James Webb, which is more or less behind me, on which ESA has also contributed through instruments, but also through the launch service. So there are many more cooperation for which ESA has been provided instruments or services. So it's the first matter of cooperation. It's a cooperation where we contribute in a certain manner, but we have also done other type of cooperation where ESA is welcoming the support of other agencies in a project managed by ESA. ESA-led mission, like Bepi Colombo. We have the chance to work with JAXA colleague on Bepi Colombo, the solar orbiter with NASA colleague, but not only, and there are many others where we have partners together with other space agencies. And we are looking forward to continue this kind of partnership. So international cooperation is essential, as I mentioned. It facilitates larger and complex missions. And again, I insist on 1+1 is more than 2, and we have to remember that. And this is in particular true for exploration missions, but also for others. The main challenge, by the way, for cooperation is related to interface. Interfaces with the other partner, of course, and the schedule, because we don't have all the same schedule for many reasons, either for financial reasons or for technical reasons. So cooperation has sometimes limitation, of course, and you know very well in the context that we are living today, the consequence that it can have when we want to push for cooperation. You know very well that we are currently stuck with the ExoMars mission, for instance, if you have heard about this mission led by ESA. So agencies and other partners have to make sure that work is progressing based on stable and well-defined interface. If we want a successful cooperation, this is essential, which again is a prerequisite for a stable schedule and also stable cost. Too high degree of entanglement in the cooperation, impacting development approach and contractual arrangements are complex and difficult to manage. So it's important to keep a certain and dependency as well. So if we are to compile, for instance, the work-based meal as a comparison, we will have to ask more chefs to work together, but with clear interface defined. Each meal, each part of the dish has to be going together. Otherwise, at the end, the meal will be completely full and we will not have it as a good meal at the end. So this comparison in cooking is the same as in building a big program in space application. Also, I would like to point out that cooperation can have limitations depending on the application because of the intellectual property of the technologies, because also due to regulation, sometimes some regulations are a little bit putting a lot of constraints, like the ITAR regulation that could put some brake on cooperation. Therefore, we just push for cooperation where there is a real institutional application like exploration, science, and we limit cooperation in the launcher area, for instance, due to this dual approach, launcher being very a dual application that could serve also application like military. So when we put now this overview on cooperation, how could we promote inter-agencies, inter-stakeholder technology development? How do we see the effort of technology development complementing the one of the others? And of course, it's something that we do, we already do in the frame of the ISS, for instance, or in the frame of Lunar Gateway, where we bring our core competence. So it's good to exchange on our core competence. So what are your added value and see how we can build something together. However, space cooperation is mostly on mission, but not on basic technology. And this said, areas such test facilities is an area which could possibly offer more international cooperation. So for me, it's really essential to discuss more and more on the possibility to benefit from test facilities. So for instance, in the ESA member states, we are welcoming a lot partners from other countries if they want to do some tests in our premises in order to progress, because building a facility is very expensive, and that can help also to accelerate the process. And we are doing the same when we ask to the other if they have a test facility available, capable of doing a vacuum test in a big scale for propulsion, for instance. We are doing the same, and we did the same, by the way, with some facility in the US, for instance. Again, the question will be not to create any relation of dependency, of course, and this is important for all, I think. Then, of course, how does the current situation could affect international cooperation? As you know, the current crisis in Ukraine is a clear example of how unstable geopolitical situation can impact international cooperation. However, in some cases, it also offers opportunity for cooperation with new partners. And this is the case today. We are increasing now, we are turning to other partners we didn't think about. And it's a good opportunity to start to discuss, to exchange, and to see what we can do together. Because we always stick to the classical standard partner, and we don't move to the newcomer, new partner. So in particular, I'm turning to Africa, and not only with India, we have already some activities, but I think we can improve and go forward other partnerships. And I can confirm that, for instance, sometimes we can invite some students, non-European students, in program of exchange to participate to some project or to be in our team for a while, 1 year, 2 years, and contribute to some joint project. So this is some kind of opportunity we can offer. Last but not least, I will then maybe leave the floor to the question. How do we think that local regulation and intellectual property rights will affect future international cooperation, and in particular in the current context? I have some past experience myself where indeed this can block a cooperation, and sometimes if we don't anticipate sufficiently local regulation and intellectual property rights, it can be something that will certainly stop completely the cooperation. So it's something, the foundation of a cooperation should go through that aspect, the regulation aspect, and let's say having an agreement in that frame. There is also room for technical cooperation, nevertheless, in particular with the challenges with technology. At present time, I will give an example because it's exactly in my context. The nuclear-based electrification for man-Mars mission. Here we have a big jump to do in this area. Convinced now that nuclear propulsion from mission will not. And if we work all together, I'm pretty sure we advance a lot and the solution in less than 10 years. So this kind of event and involving competence all around the world will be essential and helping, I mentioned, the progress of the humankind in space application. So it was my last word, let's say, and now I'm open for discussion.
Thank you, Jamila. Thank you so much. You know, you put so much content into this, right from regulations to cooperations to student exchanges. I think it is so much to do and so little time, if you really ask me. You know, the good part is we have participation here from Middle East, from Egypt, from Africa, from India, of course, and from Europe. Your experience with Aryan has been amazing and really long. India has been working the test, I think, using test facilities since decades, if I may say so. And this is, you know, a right example of cooperation. Today is times we are talking more about cooperative competition. It's like we call it co-opetition. It's like cooperative and it is competing at the same time. So it is something that is a new challenge, especially when it comes to space technologies and arrangements. So it is really amazing what are the possibilities and what can be achieved. So thank you so much for being with us here today.
Thank you.
I would now like to invite our state partner, Ms. Kirtana George from the state of Andhra Pradesh, and see what the states of India who are also competing with each other to get a pie of the space bandwagon. So I would like to invite Ms. Kirtana. She's actually traveling. I think she was stuck in a meeting at the Secretariat and going back from the government office. So let's hope she can speak. Kirtana ji, welcome. And a big warm welcome to the government of Andhra Pradesh. Kirtana ji, can you hear us? Okay, I think she has a problem with the network because she had informed that she is there in the session today, but I think there's a signal issue because she's just come out of the Secretariat after a meeting. And I would like to open up for any question and answer that are there before we have the formal vote of thanks. Any questions from the audience for any of our speakers who are still here? Please unmute yourself and ask a question. So I think it was a pretty clear presentation, pretty understanding, and the examples shared were very much understandable. And I think it is a new step in cooperation what we have begun today. We are going to be having a very detailed topics henceforth. This is just the beginning. This is just the beginning of space cooperation across countries and continents. The Indian Chamber of International Business is always happy to support any kind of initiatives which is very different from the norm. I would now like to hand over to Mrs. Tinku Gupta, who is our Senior Vice President of our Chamber. Tinku ji, please, yours.
Yes. Good evening, everyone. It has been a very enlightening session. The fact that we are all together on a Zoom meeting discussing the private and public participation in an area like space itself is an example of the international cooperation and the technology which we have brought together. The session has been very enlightening, and I'm sure everyone present here has gained much insight into the space arena, and we look forward to working together. It's a great pleasure for me to deliver my vote of thanks on behalf of Indian Chamber of International Business to all the eminent speakers and the participants who have taken out time from the busy schedule to attend this webinar, and we look forward for many more engagements and taking the takeaways from this webinar in a more fruitful manner. Thank you so much, each one of you, for being here and making this a grand success. Over to you, Manpreet ji.
Thank you so much, Tinkuji. We shall be happy to share the recording after getting it processed with all the speakers and the audience. Thank you so much for being with us today. And a very big thank you to all our speakers who came from across the world, from across continents. And a special thanks to ISRO for being a leader with open arms to invite the private sector and the global cooperation. Thank you, Sudhirji. Thank you once again.